Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you guys? Listen, that drop, listen, we got the drop game down packed when we first come on. Morning glory.
Cool.
Somebody is going to be dropped. Well, good morning, everyone out there. Thank you
Morning.
for Morning Glory, where we pray for the nation. But today is our Guest Thursday. Guest Thursday. We're excited about our guest today.
Man.
Um, we're going to go into a little conversation before our guests come on. How is everybody doing today?
Good.
Awesome.
Awesome.
A little
Awesome.
bit rested, just a little bit.
A little bit rested? Yeah, I overslept. It seemed like I don't know. I think this time in my life, the Lord is saying you need to rest.
Mm.
You need to rest because
Yeah.
it seemed like when I get up, I go right back to sleep. I just get back drowsy again. But I think it has something to do with my, where I'm at in my age too, the menopause and all that going on in my life. But gotta
Hey,
do what we gotta do.
did
I've
you
been up since
also
2:30. Yay!
the
And you wired up. What you say, Pastor Rika?
Your screen time affects you too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
That
Yes.
affects you, wear your brain out.
Yes.
Whenever you get tired, boy, it's like everything goes.
I'm telling you. I mean, I want to grow old gracefully, but I want that energy too. So what is it that we need to do to keep that energy?
Work
And
out.
work out.
That's
yeah,
cool.
play tennis. Just get into some kind of sports.
Yeah,
Sport.
just ask Sister Elizabeth. She should tell us.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
get into some kind of sports and
Mhm.
whatever sports y'all like. Volleyball,
You have
softball.
to make time, I guess, to do all that. When you're so busy, I mean, sometimes
Mhm.
you just can't fit that stuff in. You try.
Trust me, I'm busy. I'm real busy. Taking care of this one over here, taking care of that one over there, taking care of this one right behind me. Mm.
But you make time for yourself. And that's what we have to do.
Intentional.
Yeah, intentionally make time for ourselves. I was, which is past tense. I was getting up at 5:30 exercising, and it did make me feel better. I think I just have to implement that back into my regimen before I get on, the prayer line. Well, what I'm excited about, we have Dwayne, All About Fitness, coming on at 5:30 in the
Yay.
morning. Yay! So when he come
Yay.
on, then I'll join him as well. I'll get online and join him. So maybe I'll get that energy
Wow.
back.
Good.
Yeah.
And then to do something you enjoy. I enjoy dancing and doing the Zumba workouts and anything having to do with dance because all that um, hit and all that I ain't in. And when you have I learned this when you have a certain when your body collects store fat around the midriff, how
Mm-hmm.
exercise stress your body out so it actually makes you gain weight. So no matter how much you work out, you'll still have that pudge because your body is stressed out because you're doing a stressful workout. But if you do something like something you enjoy that make you happy, you got to find that thing that make you happy. I did Hawaiian dancing. I don't know hula dancing.
Wow. Did
I,
you? I want
Wow.
to.
mhm. I
Wow.
fell at the Dollar Tree.
What?
Girls trying to hula dance, and I laugh so much, but it makes it fun for me because yeah, if it's something make working out fun and not a task or something on the to-do list, but
Yeah.
look forward to. And when you work out with a group of people, that holds you accountable and it make it fun too. So
Yeah, yeah. My exercise or choice of fun would be skating. That's
okay,
what I like to do. I like to skate. Um,
roller.
my exercise choice will actually be walking.
Okay.
I can walk. I like to walk, but because of my allergies, I haven't been able to get out there and get on the track. But that's two things. And then matter of fact, me and Sister Stewart, we skated out on the track, and I bust my behind too. I fell straight. I'm like, yes, I lost control.
Trust me, I bust mine too.
Oh my gosh, I was hurting. I couldn't stop because it was heels, right? So there's heels, you go up, and you know, and man, I could not stop. I was like, ah. So I slid over into the grass. I slid over into the grass to stop. Oh my God. And I just went and fell flat on my behind. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I could have flipped. Remember, I could have somersault.
Yes. Oh my God, that was so dangerous. But it was funny. It was so funny though, because we got up and I kept going though. But what I did when the heels came, I would just move over to the grass and walk down the hill, and then get over into the pavement and then skate. But then those young people, they was just shooting through there like nothing. I was like, oh no.
Well, the days of our youth.
I'm telling you, no. Mm-hmm. Okay, Connie says she thinks she's in. Okay, yep, Connie, we don't see you yet, so we're waiting on our guest. She's trying to get in. No, we don't see you. That link, the link that says Streamline, that's the one you have to come in on. I think you on YouTube. Connie, try the. Let me type this in.
Melissa, what do you do for exercise?
Boot camp.
Do you?
I started to do boot camp.
Is there video?
No, I actually go to the gym. Yeah.
High five, girl.
I had to do that for accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you need people to help you and encourage you to keep going.
Yeah, they do that. It's a good gym. Everybody there is all different shapes and sizes and ages.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody encourages one another. So it's great. And gender, because we have male and females there too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Do y'all do HIIT or what do y'all do?
It's something like HIIT because you do cardio and weights though. It's like intervals, So you're doing a lot of exercise with weights.
Yeah.
It's what helps you lose weight later after you've done exercising. Is the weightlifting is what makes your body continue to burn fat.
Yeah.
I don't mind muscle.
Yeah. It don't make your heart beat as fast when you lift.
No, because it's like you do weights. It's cardio with weights, kind of, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like body. How you call it? Weightlifting, like bodybuilding. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
It's not like bodybuilding. It's not nothing geared towards that at all. Now that's a lot of weightlifting right there.
Yes, it is.
My boys are into that, so.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. I didn't when I was weight training, I stopped because I was getting these right here. And I said,
the shoulders?
Yeah, I started getting the pumped up shoulders, like and the guy that was training me, he wanted me to what do you call that? Train for the bodybuilders thing. And I said, no, I don't want that body. I wanted the muscles and stuff, but I didn't want that, that definition around my right here and all that, and then in your back like that.
The pastor's going, whoa.
Right, no, because I wanted to feel look feminine, but tight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. Just so you're not lifting a lot of weight, you're just doing a lot of repetition for that.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well, listen, our guest today is Connie McCracklin. And she's with the organization. Well, she does multiple of things, but the organization SCARM, Stop Child Rape and Molestation. So we have her here with us today, and I'm going to bring her on the panel this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
How are you this morning?
Wonderful.
Awesome. I'm sorry you had some difficulties this morning. I know I might not explain myself really well as well. So I'm gonna blame it on me too. It's me.
It
was
wasn't you. My technical people not here.
Listen, no. Listen, look how we look what we got on. Listen,
I
listen
know.
we all in the spirit this morning.
Yeah.
God is good. God is good. Now, Connie, I love Connie. I love Connie's personality. I love Connie because she's hilarious. Y'all know I like to laugh too. She is hilarious. I mean, we have a good time when we're on set together. When we are doing background or extra work on set, she just make it. You know how sometimes you're just sitting there, but she makes it make me have a good time when I'm there. I just appreciate you so much, and she's so nice. I mean, a lot of things that I didn't know, she was informing me on. It's hard to find people that that'll help you.
That's true.
That'll help you, and she's that person. So we just thank God, not only me, but all the people. I see her helping everybody. And that sticks out. That's that light. That light that we need in these desolated places and this time that we're in. So, Connie, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about your organization and what you're doing now. I mean, we got an hour. So,
okay. Well, my name is Connie McCracklin. I go by Connie McCracklin. I am a wife for the last 20 years, married 22 years together. Together 22 years, married 20. We have 5 sons, no girls, unfortunately. And my husband and I we started with our entertainment company, and that's H2D Entertainment. And we used to do stage plays and things of that nature in Memphis, Tennessee. So we relocated to Georgia about 5 years ago. And while we were still in Memphis, of course, we were doing the stage plays, and a lot of our plays and productions deal with bringing awareness to rape and molestation, domestic violence, things of that nature. And about maybe, about 4 years in, God put on my heart that we needed to launch a nonprofit organization. And so my husband was like, okay, well, break it down to me. And when I say God put it in my heart, he showed me everything. When God speaks to me, he shows me as if I'm watching a movie, go figure. So it's like he just plays, and it's like I'm looking at a movie, and he just shows it to me. And so he showed me the words, and then he showed me the logo to go with the words. And I was like, oh my God. Now, mind you, during this time, I was actually working as the administrator at a church in Memphis. So I'm at work and I'm doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I get this vision and I'm like, wait a minute, what's that? So I started writing it down. And once I wrote it down, he gave me the words. He gave me the letters, the acronym first. And then I looked and I was like, okay. So then he gave me what the words meant. And so I was like, oh my God. So then I'm all excited. I called my husband. He's like, well, let's make it happen. Go ahead and create the logo that you see. So I ended up creating the logo. And that's when SCARM, Stop Child Rape and Molestation, was born. And that was in 2012. And basically what we do is we use arts and entertainment to get the message out for awareness and prevention. But what we also do is we go to like some of the schools. We'll book. We hadn't set it up since I've been in Georgia yet, because we don't really have that avenue into the school system. But what we would do is go to some of the schools. We'll do a snippet from our plays. That one of the plays that's relating to rape and molestation of children and overcoming that. And then we'd kind of do workshops every so often around the city that just to kind of give people information. We linked up with the Shelby County Child Protective Services, and they would link up with us and come out and just give information from the government side of what was there and available. So it was a really great program that we had linked up with us and the government officials in Tennessee. So we're looking at the same thing probably in Georgia as well.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's powerful. That's
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
And then with the issue at hand, a lot of those issues are swept under the rug.
Right, exactly. And
Yeah,
some of the what happens in our house stays in our house. And a lot of times you find that when things like that happen, a lot of times unfortunately it happens right in the household, or with someone that you know. So
yeah,
a lot of times it's not a stranger. Yeah, it happens with strangers. You may find, you know what I'm saying, people get raped and things of that nature. But a lot of times when it comes to the children, and it's either someone they knows within the family, someone they knows at school, or you know what I'm saying, things of that nature, friends, even friends, older friends, siblings, and things of that nature.
mhm.
You heard so many different heartbreaking cases of things that's happening to our babies. So we have to be more aware as parents and as leaders in our community to help protect our kids.
Yes. And how I know it's probably hard to identify that. You know what I'm saying? If a child is
Yeah.
being molested or raped, is there any way that it can be identified though? Because I know a lot of children don't know how to articulate, and just like you said, if stuff happened in the house, it got to stay in the house, and then the fear tactic that it has over that particular child.
Well, a lot of times it starts with communication, and I'm not saying you have to. What happened to you? And you know what I'm saying. There's a way you
Yeah.
communicate with children on their level, and it depends, because some are really little, and then you even have teenagers that deal with it as well. But it starts with opening the door of communication and making sure that you're able to effectively reach your child or your niece or your nephew where they are. They have to feel safe with you in order to open up. Because one thing that I heard, and I don't remember who first heard it from, but the saying is true. People don't care how much you know as long as they know that you care.
Mm.
So if they know you care, they're willing to open up and they'll share their whole life with you. But you have to make those children especially feel comfortable enough to open up and talk to you, because a lot of times there's fear in place. There's self-condemnation because they're thinking they did something to cause it. And we have to just teach them, even if they're our personal kids or kids in our family that we have a relationship with, talk to them and start teaching them at an early age, hey, what proper touch is.
Mm-hmm. Yes. 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 And oh my man, that is well, I commend you, for the work that you're doing, especially in that area, because I know that's very sensitive.
It
I
is very
know that it's very sensitive to even if a child or even adult, because some people have suppressed their feelings and they have not expressed themselves until they became an adult, So to hear those,
absolutely.
yeah, so it affect their whole life.
Yeah, and I have
Mhm.
a sort of a testimony about that. We were doing our the Forgotten Son stage play in Memphis. Wow, this has been probably about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And
Mhm.
one of the ladies who came to the play, we've had, and it hasn't always just been ladies. We've had men and women to come up to us to talk to us, and that's let me tell the story, then I'll go back. But
Okay.
basically, she came to us, and she was in tears, and she was like, "Oh my gosh," she said, "this happened to me 40 years ago." 40
Wow.
years ago. And I mean, she said, but because of your play, I feel empowered enough. I went home, I talked to my sister, and come to find out, her and her sister both were being molested as children by the same person. Neither one of them ever said anything to each other over 40 years ago. And so
Wow.
it was like heart wrenching just to know. And I'm like, oh my God, this lady is over 40 years old. So she's carried that in her life. She said that's part of why she was overweight, because she wanted to not be pretty, thinking that would cause somebody to not touch her inappropriately. So
Yeah.
it messes with people. And some of the guys that have come to us, I mean, just like, okay, um, talking about how our play allowed them to talk to some of their parents that were just that they were afraid to talk to them, and now they understand why they had, well, one of the guys, he's like, no, not a homosexual, but why he was confused about his sexual identity, because it's like, okay, he felt like, okay, because that particular touch at that time was his first sexual encounter, it made him feel a certain way because part of it was enjoyable. But now, you know, even though he learned that it was wrong, it kind of had him like, okay, I know I'm a guy and I know I love women, but why do I have these weird feelings? And it all stems from him being molested as a child.
And you know what?
And this guy was he was like 20, in his late 20s.
That's why we cannot prejudge.
Right.
Because we don't know what a person have been through and what they're struggling with.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of times we say, well, this, you know, we prejudge people. And that's why I think ministry comes in so many forms. And that is a ministry, what you're doing with your plays. And I feel like if we were more transparent as a body of Christ, that we'll see more deliverance. Because a lot of us, you know, and I know shame. Now, this is the only thing this is what God used to heal me from shame. He took me to the book of Isaiah 54. And he said, do not be ashamed of the things that happen in your youth.
Right.
Don't be ashamed, because a lot of these things that happened was not your fault as a child. You know, now I wasn't a victim of rape and molestation, but abandonment. Right. And with that, I didn't know how to articulate what I was going through. So my reaction, I acted out. I was bad. Like, you know, people say she bad, you know, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't that I was bad. I was hurt. And I didn't know how to, you know, like I said, release that or talk about it. Or first of all, I couldn't even find the words until the Lord actually showed me. And so when I think about myself in that predicament, then you think about the other children that cannot articulate it. So, and they're acting out and nobody's, you know, paying attention to that. They're saying, oh, they just bad, or they just need a whooping. And really, like you said, they need someone to talk to them. You need to get to the root of that and find out, why are they acting out like this? Nobody did that for me. And I believe that was a part of my ministry, that God had to do that with me. So I'll know how to approach other people and talk to other people and, you know, about you know, those deep rooted issues and suppression.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you have to definitely get to the root of it, because otherwise it's going to continue to fester and some people are just not going to open up. And so one of the things that we ended up having to do is, whenever we did that production, we linked up with one of the local counseling organizations there in Tennessee, and we would have them to come to be there at the end of our production. So if anyone was dealing with situation, old wounds open, then we have counselors right there on set that could actually talk to you. You could set up, and then we would take a portion of the proceeds from the stage play and use that to pay for people who needed counseling. Awesome. So they were able to go and don't have to worry about, okay, I don't have money to go pay a therapist, you know, don't worry about that. Just show up. We got you. And that was part of the, what we ended up doing after the very first production, because we had, like I said, we had people coming up, I mean, just in tears, and you don't want to send people back out open and, you know what I'm saying, and wounded. Yes. So we definitely had to put that in place, because, I mean, just in the beginning, we were the ones that were sitting and talking to them and recommending, but it was my husband's idea to, hey, no, let's just bring the counselors here, because a lot of times when people leave, they're not gonna reach out for help, because then you have the condemnation start setting in, embarrassment start setting in, things of that nature. So we're like, okay, they're here. Let us redirect you right here to this table. We can set you up right here. Nobody's gonna be in your business, but these people are sitting here for a reason. So let's take advantage of it so that you can get the help that you need and better your life.
Did you know when you first did your first play that it would have that type of impact?
Absolutely not.
God blew your mind.
Yes, I was like, oh my God, because my husband and I were looking at each other like, do you see this? You know, because we knew what the message was. Actually, there were 5 target areas that we wanted to hit. It was um, protecting children, awareness and prevention of rape and molestation of children. It was domestic violence. It was being drug addicted, how drugs can affect families, poverty, because the play dealt with all those areas. And what was the other? Oh, racism. All of that those were 5 areas that we hit on in the production. But the one that really stood out was definitely the rape and molestation scenes that just really hit home for people.
Mm. But people, you know what I found out too, Connie, is the power of speaking it out, confession.
Yeah.
That's the part that the Lord really showed to me. That's what happens when people are being set free. They have to, God exposes us, and then there's an acknowledgement, part two, that this happened to me, because when we're in denial, we can't be healed.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
God has a way of bringing us out of that denial and coming into that acceptance part and admitting these things happen. This is the tender part of God, that he deals with each and every one of us different. He knows our heart. Some people can blatantly come out and do stuff, but some people, that stuff been embedded in them for years. They're ashamed about it.
Yes.
But still, God has that way that he will set that person up, to be healed. But that confession, that part, because I stand on that word, confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. So we have to have an avenue or a person that we can confide in and be able to talk to, that these things can, that healing can come forth, that healing can come forth. And I think that is so very important. And I love that, what you're doing, and how God used, the way God used you, because everybody, he used different, he comes in different ways, but the way God used you to bring that forth is amazing. And I think, like Tyler Perry, a lot of his plays, and because I love movies. Because a lot of times people say, well, don't, and I love theater. I love that. So that's how God probably will speak to me, because that I'm going to pay attention. You know what I'm saying? And that's how he may have to speak to other people, because he knows that they're going to pay attention to that. But there's a message in there. But look at all the areas that you covered in this one play.
Yeah. And it's funny that you should mention just confessing, because I'm going to tell you my story, my personal story. There's a gentleman that molested me when I was in 1st grade. I didn't say anything for years. I never told my mom. I never told I never told anybody. So after I was married, I was actually asleep. We're in the bed asleep. And all of a sudden I see the guy's face, and it scared me so bad. So I jumped, I wake up, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just hard, just heavy. So when I jumped, I don't know if that's what woke my husband up, but he was like, you okay? And I'm like, no. And here I am, I'm just in tears. And I'm like, oh my God, I saw his face. And I told my husband everything that happened. That was my first time actually releasing what actually happened to me. And so when I told my husband about it, it was like this heaviness just came off of me. And it was like, okay, because I'm going to tell you how it was affecting me. And this was in the beginning parts of our marriage. I was so sensitive to my body. I wouldn't even want my husband to see me undressed, because it was just like, okay, I was so timid in that area. And I was like, no, turn off the lights or I'm gonna go in the bathroom and get dressed. And so things like that, it goes along with you, and you wonder, like, why am I like that? Because I'm not a shy person. I'm very vocal. So that would be in the back of my head. Why do I feel like that? And it all stemmed back to that particular situation. So when God I say it was God because it freed me. When it came back to me and I was able to see that, I was like, oh my God, that's what it was. So I talked to my husband about it. And then after that, I talked to my mom about it. And that's a whole nother story. But
Yeah.
believe your children if they tell you something happens to them. Believe them.
Come on.
Because a lot of
Yes,
parents
yes.
don't. They just don't. And it can be,
Right.
it can take you down a whole nother path. You know what I'm saying? When the
Yes.
children finally get nerve enough to say something, and then it's like, well, that didn't happen. No, it didn't. Or I don't believe it, and all. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yes.
have to. I mean, especially minors. A lot of them are not going to just make something like that up. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that was the story of when I actually 100% broke free from that being having a hold on me. So
And how
now
old
I don't care. I'd be like, my husband be like, in the room. I'm like, okay. Just free.
Yeah, because it does have it governs your life. It governs you. It governs you. It governed my life. It messed up my relationships with men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah, and
saying?
it will.
Just like you said, a lot of times, have you found this, that sometimes people, something have happened and they just they wiped it out of their mind. It was
Yeah,
like wiped right out. They suppressed it so deep that it wiped right out of their mind, but their behavior is showing something is wrong.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what was happening with me and my particular story. That's what was happening with me because I was so timid. Don't touch my body. I used to fight guys in school for, you know how you're in school, and I don't know if you guys experienced this, but I did. I grew up in the hood. But we would be at school, and you know how a guy just smack your butt or something like that. So I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I won't fight guys. I wasn't. Some of the girls will be like, "Girl, he touched my butt." No, you touch my butt. It's my body. I'm fighting you. Don't touch me. You know. And that was the one. I was
Yeah.
the one that would beat guys up for touching my butt. But I think all of that played a part of this is my body, and nobody's gonna take advantage of me anymore in that way.
And that's what comes, Connie, I can relate because it feel like you got to defend yourself. You got to protect yourself. It's
Yeah, absolutely.
and it had a problem. It made a problem though in my marriages too as well, because I had a fence up, like you said, you didn't
Right.
want to show your body, but it's like it's a defense mechanism there that you're protecting your own self. But it's a point where you have to allow God to protect you, because God had to tell me that, let me love you, let me do
Wow.
this for you. Let me do this, because it had a terrible stronghold on my life. And so just like you probably see the signs. I don't know if anybody else on this panel want to, talk about, or if you have anything you want to say. The panel is open. I don't have to be the only one talking.
I have a question. How do you prearrange your place with the schools? How do you prepare the settings for them to receive this type of play?
Well, we didn't actually do the whole production at the schools, but when we would be invited to speak to either parents and children, or parents with parents alone or children alone, we would just pull a snippet from the play and have some of our actors to come to act out the scene. So just as an opener to lead us into the conversation we're about to have. So but a lot of times we would just have to let the school know that send permission slips, because there's a because of the nature of the scene, we would have to get permission for other people to attend, and most of the time the parents wanted to attend as well. So they would be there with their children to kind of ask questions, explain, and things of that nature.
Did you ever receive any teachers or any
awesome.
adults that reacted maybe perhaps the same way some kids did after your play?
As far as teachers, when we were at the schools, they didn't necessarily come up like they would at the off-site in the different theaters and give their personal testimonies, but they would ask tons of questions. So as far as like personally coming up saying, "Hey, this happened to me," no, we never had that situation with a teacher.
Yeah, because some of those conversations people don't want to have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think if this is the time where we are now, we need to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely.
being a teacher or a caregiver working with children, I would assume that them being a teacher working with children, they want to know the signs. They
Mm.
want
Right.
Mhm.
to help the children that they're
Right.
over there, that are in their care at the time, because a lot of kids they act out. Even when I worked with children, I worked in a daycare setting.
Yeah.
And even then, you would be amazed at the things that will happen to children.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you another, you're absolutely
Mhm.
right. I had custody of my niece at the age when she turned 3 years old. We had custody of her. I mean, we would keep her off and on, but we actually got custody of her at the age of 3. And when we first got her, she would every night, and this is a little graphic, but every night she would have her hand in her underwear playing with herself. And
Mhm.
those things like that, because kids don't naturally do stuff like that.
Right.
That's
So
right.
Right.
we would talk to her and say, hey, baby, you know what I'm saying? What's going on? Is somebody touch you in your private area? No, ma'am. No, ma'am. But we knew something was going on just from, I mean, just knowing what we know from being in the industry that we're in, and being aware of the different signs and things of that nature. So when we talked to her mom, oh, nobody messed with her. She probably just woke up while I was doing such and such. But I'm like, no, that's a little bit too, what I'm saying, too much going on for her
Yeah.
to just woke up and saw you with a guy, And even so, why are you in the room? Say, got her in the bed with you
Right.
and this guy, because you don't know what's
Right.
going on with him and your daughter in the same bed.
Right.
So
Right.
Yes.
stuff like that, you just have to be aware. And again, a lot of it can be prevented if, as parents, we do everything we know to do to put our children in safe situations. And that's not
Mhm.
all
Yeah.
parents don't put their kids in harm's way, but um we find that a lot of them get so caught up in, oh, that's my guy, that they become so
Oh,
trusting. You can't trust anybody around your kids. You have to, yeah,
Yeah.
you can trust to a certain extent, but you have to be aware at all times. I'm not gonna leave
Yeah.
my baby girl, if I had a girl, with my boyfriend. Not gonna
yeah.
happen.
Mhm.
Mm-mm.
So you have to
Mhm.
be aware of those type of things. And if by chance you just absolutely have no other choice, then you need to be screening that child when you get back. Come here, let's talk in
Mhm.
private. What's going on? How was your
Yeah.
time? Did anybody touch you inappropriately? You know what I'm saying? Those are the questions we as parents can't be afraid to ask, because
Mhm.
again, it opens up a avenue for the child to feel more comfortable to express themselves to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we can't be afraid, or nah, ain't nothing happened. I trust them. I don't trust nobody with my kid, boy or girl, because boys get raped as well.
They
Yes.
do. They do.
They do.
And you know what?
Yeah.
And because a lot of back when
Yes.
my mother didn't let us spend the night over people's house, I didn't let my children spend the night over people's house. And they used to get mad at me. Well, why I can't go over? Because I don't know what they're doing. I don't know about especially when they have you know, the male and the female, the male there, and I had daughters, I had sons too.
Yeah.
I have sons too, but it was just something in me that didn't trust that, because my
Yeah.
mother wouldn't allow us to do that.
Mhm.
And like I said, everybody don't have that testimony, but some testimonies, even around children, because children will mess with other children.
They
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
will. They
Now
absolutely
that
will.
that
Yes.
happened, where children
Mhm.
would mess with other
Yes,
children.
indeed. Yes,
Yes.
indeed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Mhm.
we have to be mindful of that too. And then also have you ever dealt with this, or has somebody ever came in about their parents? I saw Sister Stewart actually sent me 2 videos where the father was raping their daughters, and one of them ended up having a baby by their father.
Wow.
Yeah. So I
Mhm.
mean, it's heart wrenching.
And
It's
I've
heart
heard of
wrenching.
situations like that. No one has personally come to me about situations like that, but I've definitely heard of situations like that where people have given their testimony at different seminars and things of that nature that we've been at. It happens more often than not. So, but it's again, people suppress it and keep it so hidden that it's like, well, I don't want to bring embarrassment to them, or that's my relative, so I don't want them to go to jail and things of that nature. But no, if they need to get the help that they need. And so one of the things that happened in Tennessee, we were an intricate part of helping them make stiffer penalties for child rape and molestation, because the penalties used to be so light. It was like they was giving people a slap on the wrist. No, don't give them a slap on the wrist. Our children are our future. And if they're damaged, then we're creating damaged adults. So no, if they're abusing our children, make them pay for what they did. Make the penalty stronger. So when they started, they changed the laws where you have much different penalties for rape and molestation of children in the state of Tennessee. And I'm hoping that that'll transpire in everywhere, because again, our children are our future, and if they're damaged, then what are we setting up for the future of our country?
You said something so key, and it hit me, because when they're damaged, they grow up damaged. They become damaged adults, and they damage other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Hurt people. And they, I had to even think about my mother being hurt. And sometimes we blame our parents too, like, oh, they didn't have to do us like this or whatever. But we have to understand that they have issues too, even though they're taking care of us, and some of them have unresolved issues that they didn't even deal with. I found out, Connie, that my mother was holding on to unforgiveness from my father for over 40 some years, long as I was living.
Wow.
So she lived like that as an adult. So that affected how she treated us. It affected how she treated other people. She didn't want to ever go into a relationship with a man. And when she did, it was unhealthy.
Wow.
So this is a subject that we need to talk about, because there's a lot of people out there, that's hurting, and they're hurting other people, and they don't know how to love, because like I said, they have created these defense mechanisms. Now nobody can come in, not even God sometimes.
Right, absolutely. Because a lot of times, especially dealing with children who were molested, they feel like, God, why did you let this happen to me? You let this happen to me. If you're the supreme being and you control everything that happens, why did you let this happen to me? And so that's another part of the ministry side, where deliverance has to take place, and they have to understand God didn't make that happen to you, because people have free will, and if you choose to do wrong, then guess what? That's not on God. That's your free will, and you made that choice to go out and molest a child.
That's right. That's right.
And you said the word abuse, because people don't understand that rape and molestation is abuse.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
It is sexual abuse.
Yes, it is.
I think that language has to be said and has to be taught, because people otherwise they will say, oh, it's just something that happened.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Let's speak it out.
But it's just something that happened, or it happened there to everybody. No, you were sexually abused.
Sexually abused, absolutely.
And that comes with a different set of battles for everybody. And that's why we have to be so careful in handling one another in the body of Christ, because you don't know what people's upbringing have come with.
That's right.
We don't make ourselves to be safe places for other people to confess to. So we have to make sure that we are safe places for somebody to confess something like that to. Because I'm people who've been abused, they will vet you.
Yeah, they will, definitely.
They will find out if they can trust you, and if they can't trust you, they shut off every area. So just when we're out there ministering, just make sure that people can trust you enough to be able to share their hurt, so that you can get them help.
And
So,
usually when you find that trust is that when they feel when you release yourself and be transparent. Because
Right.
the one thing about people, because just like me, you know, if somebody, because when that's how we form trust. Because if I can trust you, I'm trusting you with my information.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying? So if I'm
Right.
confiding in you, you done open up a space for them to confide, because that for that conversation to go both ways.
Mm.
You
Mm.
know, so a lot of times, and I just believe that's ministry. That's what ministry is all about, because it's a sacrifice. You're the sacrifice. If you want people to trust you, you got to trust them.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? How you want them to trust you? You got to trust them with your information too.
That's right. That's right.
So
You
I
have to be.
mean,
You have to be transparent all the way
you
around.
have to be transparent, and a lot of times with this, people, like you said, this is ministry. We put our own restrictions on ministry. We do that. But we say, God, no, we do that because we still have trust issues because we're human, right? So we're still, a lot of us still in that process where, okay, I have to deal with my issues too. Because this is something that's been, you know, like you said, some of us, most of our issues start where? As children.
Right.
100% of the issues start as a child and they transition into our adulthood.
Yeah.
So we have, and a lot of us, and I had to admit that I had trust issues because I did, you know, I had trust issues. So I had to get to that place where, you know, God had to deal with me personally. And I think that that's the problem with the body of Christ, that we're too busy preaching and teaching and we got the word and we ain't took the time out to allow God to heal us.
Yes. That's right.
Because it's easy for me to look at you and talk about your issues. It's easy for me to preach to you. It is. That's easy.
Yeah.
But to minister to you, that's a different situation.
right.
Because what happens there is I'm giving of myself like Jesus gave himself. He gave all. He didn't hold nothing back because he died for us. Now the Bible says the books are, you know, we don't even have enough space in the books to really tell everything that happened with Jesus, what happened with Jesus, right? But the part that he did give is that he gave his life.
Right.
Yeah.
That's everything. What else can you, I mean, if you gave your life for the people, what else? Ain't nothing can go above that.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that that's the problem with ministry. We don't want to give our life. We don't want to make that total sacrifice, but that's what we're called to do.
Right.
That's what we hold back on. That's why we're not seeing the deliverance in the church. That's why God got to go outside of the four walls and create movies and all this stuff and come at ministry in different ways.
Yeah.
Because we so, you know, because we could be like the mummies, because I done did it. I know it's true. I know it's true because I have done it.
Or the Israelites.
Yeah, I have done it. I can go with, you know, I can preach, I can teach, but you know, and I can do that like a robot. You know what I'm saying? With no emotions and feelings. We can do that. We can do that. But a lot of us don't want to admit that. I had to admit that because I had to take back and get off this line for myself, get off that line and get before the Lord because I became a robot.
That's good.
A lot of us won't admit it, but I had to admit it because I had to be true to my own self. You know, so this is with ministry is giving your all. It is because you went through that thing for a reason.
Yeah.
And what you went through will heal and deliver somebody else.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, it
How
definitely will.
how are you? Oh my gosh, I formulated the question in my mind. How are you taking your work or you're taking your ministry in Georgia now, in the Atlanta area?
Yeah, we're in the Atlanta area now. We have not linked up with any of the school systems here or anything like that. We're actually doing more of the movie side now. So we're currently filming projects that are some of them still deal with some of the same stuff, some of the same issues that we deal with. But as far as like the workshops that we would go to different schools and do, I still haven't made any contacts here in Georgia that can open that door. However, that is something that's still on the vision board for H2D Entertainment and the SCARM Stop Child Rape and Molestation project.
Okay. Do you provide like pamphlets, like work, a material, well, before, for the public when you go out?
Yeah. Whenever we do, whenever we have workshops, we have different pamphlets with places that can help you. Some of the counseling people that we connect with. We also like in the actual workshops, we do like little games and things of that nature just to kind of soften the mood. Because of course what we're dealing with, that's some heavy stuff. And so we do little games and stuff that are that'll kind of soften the mood to kind of get people relaxed and open, because it matters, and then we'll do giveaways and stuff like that at the workshops. But we try to make it not so heavy. So again, that's why we came from the arts and entertainment side. Now, some people may be, well, this is not anything that's arts or entertainment. This is real life. Yes, it is. But this is just how God gave us to get the message out through using arts and entertainment. And it's been very successful since we started doing it.
That's good. That's great. That's great.
That's
Have you done
awesome.
like orphanages and things like that? Orphanages might be a good place to.
Yeah, we're open. We don't limit where we go. We're open even to prisons and because some you may have people that's in prison for doing being a perpetrator, and they need deliverance too. So even though they're on the opposite end of the spectrum, we still have to, those ladies and gentlemen who have been the abuser, they have to be ministered to as well. I know our hearts go out to the children and that have been raped, but we also have to deal with the abuser so that they can get the deliverance that they need to not to change and not continue with the issue. So I mean, we don't limit where we go. If God opens the door for us to go, we're there. We've done churches, we've done daycare centers, you know what I'm saying? Because we've even had daycare centers that have us come and talk to their staff, so we go wherever God opens the door for us to go, we go. Because it's not something that's just affecting one particular culture, one particular person or genre of people. It's an epidemic. It affects our whole world. It happens, and it's not limited by, that just happens in the Black community. That just happens in the Caucasian community. No, it happens everywhere. You would be surprised. That's one of the universal issues that our world deals with.
Yes.
That's
sad but true. And one of the things I did want to say also, if someone comes to you, I know in the state of Tennessee, I'm not sure about Georgia law yet, I need to check on that, but if someone comes to you in the state of Tennessee and they tell you that they've been raped or molested, it's a real sticky situation, because now if a kid comes to you and says, hey, well, this happened or that happened, you are obligated in the state of Tennessee to report that to the law. And I know a lot of people, I don't want to break their trust, but you're obligated, because if they find out later that you knew or the child confided in you and you never said anything, then they can actually legally hold you accountable.
Wow.
And that's actually a law in the state of Tennessee.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. That's
it doesn't allow for cover-up.
So they have to actually use those.
Go ahead, Minister Teresa. Go ahead.
They have to actually. So do they have to actually use those words? They use those words, right? They have to articulate the fact that there's something wrong. Is it if you observe something as well?
Well,
yes,
if you
observe itself, none the age.
If they tell you that something is happening inappropriately, then yeah, definitely. But even if you observe something, you won't be held accountable if you observe something that you think may be going on. But what you can do there, they have anonymous numbers that you can contact. You don't have to identify yourself.
Right.
You can just let them, hey, I think this is what I observed, and I think it needs to be, you know what I'm saying, someone needs to check into this.
Look at it.
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to reveal who
That's
you are, but you
very
definitely are obligated to report
important
it.
for the
Pardon me?
You have a delay. You have a delay.
yes, that's very important for the public to
Yeah.
you hear me though.
Yes,
It's
we can hear.
Can you hear me?
It's just delayed. Yeah. So you're answering. You're
Okay.
saying
I
something
just-
when she says something. But go ahead.
Okay, if I can just articulate this so the public knows, it's important that that you understand that even, you know, when you observe something, there is a way to that. Like you said, there are anonymous that you can call, and that you can make people aware that there is a possibility, because sometimes
Right.
children can't articulate what's going on. They want to reach out there. They have a way that they try to make you aware of the fact that something is wrong, and they may
Right.
say something that is just character, so you can, you know, you observe that it's important that you make somebody aware of, because as a child, myself, as 2 and 3 years old, there's no way you can articulate what's going on. There's
Right.
no way, and you have to be you know, be there and never a child in front of their perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right,
you have to
right,
be
right.
that person who's going to take them and ask them away from their.
Mhm.
It's very important. I wanted to reiterate what you said about taking them aside. It's important that we take them aside alone, so they can have that trust to know that they're away from whoever may be in that position to harm them or to change their mind. It could be a look, it could be a facial expression, for sure, that can change the mind of the child to say, or it could be an action that their perpetrator would use to even threaten them, to threaten them, let them know that, you know, hey, don't you dare. So it's important. And I appreciate you, like 100% appreciate you being here today, because there are a lot of people who are younger who just don't know how to, and we as adults need to understand that.
Right. You're absolutely right. It's definitely important to if you're in a situation where you have to talk to, especially like you said, the younger children, definitely, even with older ones, just try to have a personal conversation, because again, you never know who the abuser actually is, and you never want to deal with that type issue in front of anyone else, because again, that's a safety issue. You can be talking in front of the abuser, and you don't know how they'll retaliate after you leave the room, you know, or you know what I'm saying. So you definitely want to make sure that you use the safety precautions to make sure that you're keeping that individual safe and yourself safe, because sometimes people will lash out at you if they think, oh, you're in my business, and you know what I'm saying. You just have to be mindful of all of that.
Yes. Well, we're out of time, but I did want to talk about forgiveness, the forgiveness part of that. Do you guys implement that in your play too? The forgiveness?
Yes, there's a scene. I sent you one scene, but I don't know if you were able to get it or not.
It wasn't able to I wasn't able to download it.